What's happening, crew? I am Tokupan22 and welcome to another video. So for the past couple of years there have been some games that I've been playing for a while, and unfortunately due to things like shutdowns, studios going out of business, shutting down the servers, all of that stuff, these games you just can't play anymore. Which is a shame because, at least to me, some of them are pretty good. And while there are plenty out there who have had to face this fate, and of course I'm talking about certain online games, I would like to take the opportunity to at least talk about three of them that I played in the past that I did enjoy, that are no longer in service. So, here are three games that I used to play before they were completely shut down.
Was actually.
So the first game that I want to talk about is called Knights of Valor. This game, its particular franchise, has actually been around for a
It
while.
was long enough, I can tell you
And for
that.
those of you that might remember, it was actually an arcade
But I
cabinet
think
called
that
Warriors
I
of
smacked
Fate,
you
and
with
it was
a-
created
no,
by
you said
Capcom.
overhead slash, 'cause it wasn't
Of course, I think the license
No, that
now
was a
is
feature that
they
they
either
slapped
still
on
have it
shit.
or it's somewhere else, or belongs to someone else. But anyway, the game is an online side-scrolling beat 'em
Masters
up
of Disguise.
where you're basically going around fighting these armies and trying to save all of China. There were a lot of characters to choose from, most of them being
Yeah, I
based
still
off of
beat you with it
historical
even
figures in
once,
Chinese history.
so that no.
Now, as far as how you would obtain them, well, that's a different story. Sometimes they would be available for free during special events. Of course, there was the option to pay for them flat out, or if you grind it hard enough, then you would be able to obtain them that way as well. Of course, when it comes to grinding, which is always time consuming anyway, it's still that option. Unfortunately, this game could easily fall into the category of play to win, or pretty much like, I guess you could say, the Fortnite situation. Buy everything in order to progress faster. But it doesn't necessarily have to be. I think I only spent money on this game like once. And if anything, it had to have at least been for the skins that I had mentioned before. But other than that, I just continued to grind. And plus, being able to play with others, like my brother and my cousin, I felt that it was well worth it. Of course, I'm old-fashioned when it comes to that anyway. I don't mind the grind. Another feature that I like about the game
Alright, let's
is
try
that
this
you
again.
can take any character of your choosing and you can customize them to your liking,
Hello.
such as being able to upgrade their stats, give them new moves and combos, upgrade their gear, and even give them new skins. As you can tell in the gameplay, the character that I'm playing as, I gave them a particular skin that definitely fits my taste, if y'all know what I mean.
Oh.
The gameplay was pretty solid.
Oh.
Of course, you had it working like your typical side-scrolling beat 'em up,
Oh yeah.
being able to dash, jump, having heavy attacks as well as regular attacks, being able to chain both attacks together to form different combos that you could unlock the more powerful you made your character, and of course special moves. Another cool feature would be the item wheel that comes up around your character that allows you to use items such as bombs or caltrips, health items, and even changing weapons. Every time I use this, it always puts me in the mind of those old arcade cabinets, again, speaking on a Capcom game, of Dungeons and Dragons. Those two being Tower of Doom and Shadow of Mystara. Mystara I'm more familiar with, mainly because the first time I played that I was in Japan, but that's a whole nother story. The boys and I were really getting into this game, really enjoying it, until we started getting notification that they were shutting down the servers for it permanently. And while I can't remember exactly when, it might have been either before or close to the time of the pandemic, as far as when everything started to shut down. I don't think the pandemic had anything to do with why this shut down in the first place, but it was a shame to see it go because we were really, as mentioned before, getting into it. It really kind of reminded us of those days where we were back just all three of us sitting there playing couch co-op. And I think it would have made a good couch co-op too. But unfortunately, it just was not meant to be. So I am going to miss this game, but who knows? Maybe there'll be something similar to it that will come out one day.
Yeah.
The next game I want to talk about is Mega Man X Dive. Now, I'm going to need you to hear me out on this one, and full disclosure for starters. I am a huge Mega Man fan. It is one of my favorite games, one of my favorite video game franchises of all time. That's up there with a lot of the tokusatsu stuff that I'm interested in. So that tells you a little bit right there. Now, that being said, I did enjoy playing this game, but obviously it's not perfect. I know that they came out with an offline version, and I do have some thoughts about that, which I might share a little bit of here, but it'll most likely, if anybody's interested, be in another video. And I say that because every other Mega Man fan has already had their opinion about this game already, if you haven't heard it. Moving right along, obviously I was pretty hyped when the game was coming out. Only problem is I was on that hype train on again and off again due to certain reasons. First off, because it was only being released in Asia and I think maybe Europe as well. So that kind of sucked for me. The other thing was that at first I wasn't entirely sure, but thankfully they did do it. They did release the game stateside. Only thing is, I was still slightly disappointed because they released the game stateside, but it was only for mobile devices. Then the hype train got back up because by this time I was playing the game and I have my thoughts on that on the mobile device, but then I found out that the game was coming out on Steam. So, and of course during this time the game was free to play, I jumped at the chance of playing it on the PC as well. Now with all that being said, I have to pretty much describe my experience on both the mobile device and the PC. I enjoyed it more on the PC because it allowed me to play the game through the controller. And with me being the Mega Man fan that I am, and me being old school when it comes to playing Mega Man games like that, I got more out of it than I did on the mobile device. Now, I did have fun for a bit on the mobile device, seeing as how I could play the game on the go, and while I could have used one of those peripherals to where you can attach your phone to like this controller peripheral that they have now, I really didn't feel like having to try to buy that because I don't really play too many mobile phone games anyway. There are some good ones out there, I'll admit, but I don't really play them all that much. But I digress. Anyway, the reason behind why I know I'm going to miss this game, even with the Mega Man X Dive online game that's already out now, at least on Steam, is because that I made a lot of progress playing the game when it was online. I didn't buy a lot of the characters, but I did take advantage of how they practically gave you those elemental medals towards the end. But there were some characters in the game that I really wanted. Also, side note, I gotta give him credit for stretching out the roster when it comes to different versions of Mega Man and his different armors, and then all the other characters that have been in other games, such as like Command Mission and some of the side characters that aren't mentioned too much of, like between X4 and X8, I want to say. And I can't forget the characters from other games, such as ZX, Zero, Legends, the Classic series, even Street Fighter, just to name a few. Of course, X was my main throughout the whole entire game, and not that I got all the way through it, but I felt like I had pretty much peaked, like I was uber powerful after unlocking other versions of it. Like what you're looking at right now is him in his X dive armor. And while this is some old footage, at the time I had also received a new armor that they came out with before they shut down the servers completely. And I believe that was called X Dive Next. I don't remember, but I'm sure that I'll find out in the offline one. I like the fact that they give you different weapons to choose from. Different busters, which is what I use most of the time. You got your swords, you got your bazookas, you got your rifles, and I want to say that's about it. But anyway, it was just nice to see that you had some different ones that you could choose from. They had different stats, different abilities, and of course, not only with them and the characters as well, you could upgrade them to make them more powerful. And also another feature that the game had, and I'm going to miss it because I did do it a couple of times with my brother, even on the mobile version, is the online co-op. Well, they have a co-op mode where you can go through certain levels together, but they also had a PvP mode. Now, in PvP, I had my moments, but most of the time I was pretty much getting destroyed. But it was another nice way to try to earn elemental medals or any other rewards to try to upgrade my characters and stuff. But it would have been nice if they might have tried to expand it a bit more. I know that they did with this one feature with the guild, I think, but I don't know, maybe progressing through the story or something like that, but it could have been better. Overall, the game itself, like I said, it wasn't perfect. There were some things behind the scenes that either could have been done better or should have been done or not have been done at all. But I know that most of this stuff I can probably experience again, the good stuff anyway, in Mega Man X Dive offline. And as of this video, I did finally go on ahead and obtain it. I am enjoying it, but there are certain features that I missed. But I think I mainly just missed the fact that a lot of the progress that I made is now gone. So it's bittersweet, but I'll be alright. One thing that does kind of bother me though, last I checked, I thought that this game was also supposed to have came out on the Switch. Either it hasn't happened yet, or something went down to where it was not going to happen. Which really sucks because I was really hoping to play this game on a console. I don't know what happened, and maybe I'm just not remembering it right, but if any of you have any idea what went down or know what I'm talking about, comment below. Let me know what you guys think. The next game I want to talk about is Rumbleverse.
And his name is John C.
This game got pretty chaotic at times. It was definitely a fun game, and it's a shame that it had such a short lifespan. Basically, you were this wrestler who would go into this city that was all about wrestling and beat the living crap out of any other wrestlers that were there. Of course, it had the whole Fortnite scenario. Once you jumped in, you would have to defeat your opponents before the force field closes in on you. And of course, if you was outside of that force field, you were screwed. But anyway,
Come here!
Despite the fact that I would get my butt handed to me in just about every play session, I still enjoy playing this game. I like how cartoony and zany everything was, especially when it came to some of the special moves. Some of them were pretty hilarious. Also, I really like how you were able to customize your character in this game as well. Like each body type that they had would represent a fighting style. And everyone was pretty much on an even playing field. So once you actually got into the arena, you would have to do what you can to help enhance your character. Like they had these power drinks, kind of like Gatorade or energy drinks. Of course, you had plenty of chicken rolling around, and then you would actually pick up these magazines or books that would teach you super moves that you could put into your repertoire that you can use throughout the session. So it was definitely a very interesting game, and I like how they were able to implement all of that. But again, I say it's just a real shame that this game didn't last as long as I thought it would. I forgot how long it was, but I want to say maybe a year or so, maybe less. Because it wasn't until I saw a YouTuber, Maximilian Dude to be specific, who mentioned that they were shutting down the servers for this game. So I was thinking about jumping back in until I found out about that. So that was pretty disappointing. I mentioned how I like how cartoony and zany the game was, and when I played it, it always put me in the mind of some of those cartoons, if some of you remember, that were, like you might have an episode that was a wrestling based type episode where maybe the character would somehow find themselves in a situation where they had to get into a wrestling ring, maybe put on a costume and be a wrestler for a little while. Like say that Proud Family episode, and I'm probably going to be showing my age on this one. For those of you that might remember, a particular cartoon that was based off of the WWF at the time, wrestlers, where they all were cartoon characters and they had their own show. I think it was another one of those Saturday morning cartoons. I forget the name at this time, but if you remember, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what that show was called. Overall, I'm gonna miss this game too. I really did have fun with it, despite the fact that I never really won any of the rounds. But I was too busy laughing at how crazy some of the takedowns were. And of course, most of the time I was laughing at myself. I lost count of how many times I looked like I basically got Yamcha'd. But who knows, maybe this game might actually make a comeback. And speaking of that, the next game that I'm getting ready to talk about, at first I thought I knew for sure that it wasn't, but after doing a bit of research, I don't know. The last game that I want to talk about is Deathburst Let It Die. For those of you that's been keeping up with my channel, you know that I played this game a lot and have plenty of videos proving that. Anyway, Deathburst Let It Die was created by Gung Ho and Grasshopper Studios. Most of you should know Grasshopper Studios from, first off, the founder being Suda51, who is the same creator of No More Heroes, Killer 7, Killer is Dead, Lollipop Chainsaw, and a whole bunch of other games. And Gung Ho are the ones that created games such as Ninja. So the way this game works is that you are a contestant in this deathmatch game called Death Jamboree. And it plays like a game show, a reality game show to be specific. And you basically have to go into this arena and kill off all of the other opponents in order to be the last one standing. Of course, you're supposed to be winning fame, fortune, and all that other stuff, and all this takes place in a post-apocalyptic world. For those of you that might have played the first game that came out on PS4, Let It Die, this is supposed to be, I think, a continuation of this game. Anyway, as far as getting ready for battle, you have different weapons that you can choose from. And before the game had shut down, they added a couple of new items, new weapons as well. Starting off, you have like this high-tech steampunkish looking machete. You also have this interesting saw blade, which you can also use as a surfboard. And these really crazy looking knuckle gauntlet type devices that you wear on your arms for like punching and stuff. And you also have a big old hammer, basically. Later on, before the game shut down, they also implemented a pole arm, which is supposed to extend and almost kind of work like a whip when you do special moves with it. And of course, you have like special abilities and special moves depending on which weapon you use. And you can unlock different ones as well as different, and each one might have different move sets. And I almost forgot, another weapon that they put in here was a pair of daggers, which I really started to get into. Between the daggers, the pole arm, the gauntlets, and probably the machete itself, those were my main go-to weapons. I did use the hammer for a little while, and to be honest, it did help me to rank up, because in the beginning, once again, like I said with Rumbleverse, I was getting my butt handed to me constantly. I barely lasted 5 minutes in some of these rounds. But once I really started getting into the groove of things, I actually started to dominate. Like, I was really getting pretty good at this game. There were even situations where you would be live on Twitch, because they had these special events where they would be broadcast live on Twitch, and it was basically another means of being able to earn extra rewards, because you would actually be seen live by a live audience if anybody was tuning in to the Twitch channel that I think that they had, that the game itself had. When it comes to trying to survive in this game, you had to look out for a lot more than just other opponents. You also had to look out for any hazards such as pitfalls, traps where it would stun you and you wouldn't be able to use your weapon, and of course the wildlife, which ranged from these crazy wolves with long tongues to giant yetis that would throw rocks at you. But I can't forget about mentioning the worst hazards of all, the hunters. These jokers are ruthless, and what makes it worse is that you can't kill them. Like, if they catch you just one time, you are done. I don't know if they planned on implementing more hunters before the game shut down, but there were 3 that you definitely needed to steer clear from. You had Hunter Q, which was this weird psycho lady wearing a boar's mask who would beat the ever-loving out of you. Hunter G, who is best described as Deadshot in a fedora and a steampunk theme. And believe it or not, my favorite, Hunter M. Why this one's actually my favorite is because that you can actually become the hunter if you find this little alien tentacle orb thing and partake of his power. Only drawback is it can basically disintegrate you out of existence if you don't kill another opponent in time. So while you are uber powerful, there is a drawback to that. You did have enhancements such as any items that you could pick up, which were like these green boxes, and they would give you different abilities. You could drop bombs, you could deploy decoys, you could deploy decoys that could explode. One in particular that I really liked using was the cloaking ability. I could sneak up on my opponents or just basically disappear to escape from them if they were getting ready to destroy me. That one really came in handy. Sadly, the game didn't last as long as I thought it would. As of July of 2023, they shut down the servers for this game and suspended service completely, at least from what the website said. The website also was thanking all the players that did participate in the game, and I'm glad that I was able to play it at the time that I did. But it is a shame that this was another one that went by the wayside. Like I said before, I enjoyed it, and I was really starting to dominate. I mean, I actually started winning some of these rounds. So, I don't know, it just says a lot. Plus, I've really, over the years, become a fan of most of Suda51's work. So, it was nice to see that I was able to experience this one for myself as well. But even though I came to terms with this months ago, after doing a bit of research for this video, I was a little confused. There were articles saying that the game is supposed to make a comeback at some point, that they're basically going back and restructuring the game. But I thought that they were shutting this sucker down for good. But if they are bringing it back, then hey, that's great. I'd definitely get back into the death fray again. But I am hoping for some improvements if this game does come back. First of all, it would be nice if there was a little bit more interaction with the players besides just basically going in and trying to stab them to death. But to be more specific, what I'm really hoping for is like maybe a team deathmatch of some point, a co-op mode or something, because I recommended this game to my brother who played the first Let It Die game, and he was pretty good at that one. I would actually watch him play that. That game, it was interesting, but it was also creepy as all get out. But it would have been nice if we could team up in this game to take down all the other players. But they didn't have that option in this mode. I mean, they did not have that option in this game. But I think that it would have been nice. So if they really are going back to the drawing board with this game, hopefully they'll put something in like that. I know that there are a lot of other online games out there that are no longer in service. There's a few more that I used to play a long time ago that still come to mind and I think about every now and then. And I'm sure that there are some that, especially for those of you that are really hardcore online gamers, have some games out there that you might miss as well. If you have any that come to mind in particular, why don't you let me know and comment down below. But I just felt that it was necessary to just kind of shine some light on some of these games because They aren't as bad as some people may have said, or maybe they just didn't get the attention that they deserved. But you know, it's cutthroat out there when it comes to any genre of games. Just being able to get your game out there, you can be grateful enough for that sometimes. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'm just gonna let the rest of it play out. But if you would be so kind as to comment down below, power punch that like button, and subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate that. I plan on coming out with some more content really soon, and in the next couple of days I will be doing yet another live stream. So I hope you all will be looking forward to it. This is TokuFan22 logging out. Y'all stay safe out there, and happy holidays.
On that one. Their opponent never saw it coming.
Well, there are no stairs here. There are stairs here, never mind. Where's the other guy?
That was a thriller right to the end, huh? What a match that was, huh? Now, without further ado, let's meet our new champion!
Good thing I looked up.